guess we're live.
I guess so.
I appreciate you joining us today on Deep River Farm for this live feed that we're having. The lady behind the registry. This is the person responsible for all of the goods and services that are now going into the mountains. They went into the mountains prior to this time frame. This was utilized after delivery and stuff was made possible in the mountains through the Postal Service, FedEx, and Amazon. So, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. You got me out of my hole, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, my name is Holly Reed, and I am a North Carolina native. And most importantly, I'm a daughter of God and a daughter of Ewa, and I try to listen to his call as best I can. And in this particular situation, the call came to Western North Carolina. So I have some notes. I'm nervous, y'all. So I'm a North Carolina native. I'm a domestic engineer. 2 engineers.
That'll work.
Homeschooler, homesteader, conspiracy theorist. So.
Well, it's not a conspiracy, but only for about 6 months until the facts come true.
That's the truth. I wear it with a badge of honor. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. We're in good company with Noah.
Yeah, that's right.
We're in good company. And I guess what I bring to the registry is just some of my hobbies and interests. I like to learn about Little House on the Prairie, kind of off-grid living, how to raise animals. We butcher our own rabbits and meat birds, and have a little homestead going on with different animals, and still learning about the gardening. I love watching bushcraft videos, surviving off of what's around you. I love repurposing junk. My ringtone for my husband's phone for a while was Sanford and Sons. So I scavenge and repurpose junk and try to save money that way.
Yep.
Try to be frugal. I learned how to preserve and can and smoke meats and all kinds of random stuff. So I think that's what helped bring some help to the situation in North Carolina, because ranging from some people having electricity to some people who are having to be forced to live off the grid and don't have access to their conveniences anymore. So that's me.
That's good.
That's me in a nutshell.
That's good. Now, when this hurricane hit, how did this hurricane affect you and your family?
It really didn't. Actually, where we are located in the Piedmont, the bands went across us so quickly. I actually told my daughter after the fact that we dodged a bullet. But I think we probably got about 4 hours of rain. It added to the flooding that was already in our yard from the rainstorm that came the week prior.
Right.
So we were flooded up to our ankles, wet, soggy animals, and dealing with the mud with them, but nothing. And the sun came out.
Yeah, that prior storm that hit, that they had in the mountains too, we got a lot of rain from it. I think it was somewhere around 9 inches total is what fell.
Yeah.
And everything was soaking wet and saturated, and my dad even mentioned that if all it's going to take is some good hard wind now, these trees are going to uproot.
Yeah,
And then what, 7, 8, 10 days later, the hurricane hits.
And it was like she picked up a spare.
Yeah, and reflecting on what you had already said about with the ground being saturated, there's not a lot of soil on the mountains. So you got a lot of trees growing basically out of the rock. And with all that saturated, all that heavy wind, once that stuff started falling over and moving down into the valleys and all the mud, it just picked up steam and wiped it out.
Yeah, when we were watching the radar and saw that the eye was going to take a direct hit to Western North Carolina and run ridges, I told my husband, I was like, this is not a good thing. Because I'm thinking about the formula in my mind of rainwater running off my roof and how many gallons I can collect in my rain barrels. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Because Western North Carolina, Mount Mitchell, 6,600 feet above sea level. You got 125 ridges just in North Carolina, over 5,000 feet. So there was a ton coming down there. The deforestation is horrific. All that mud, oh my gosh.
Now the big difference I've seen from traveling all up and down from the Virginia line down to the Georgia line.
I think I speak louder.
In North Carolina. Sorry about that. We had to unplug the microphone and move everything because the way the live stream is set now, you can't do a horizontal feed. You have to do a vertical feed for it to work. And we appreciate all you folks joining us today as we're talking about the hurricane and we're getting to the registry and how that works here in a little bit. But
and it's blurry too for some reason. Somebody was saying that S. Elliott's telling us that it's blurry. No, it's not just you. It's on my phone too.
Yeah, it may be something on the lens. We'll see if we can correct that. So pardon this here for a second.
Yeah, please forgive us. A lot of us have been thrown to the wolves. Doing things now.
See if that helped any.
No, it's a signal or something.
It may be the signal then.
I don't know.
Maybe it'll clear up, but anyway, my travels from Virginia down to the South Carolina line of Virginia down to Georgia. Mainly all of the mud and stuff is in Western North Carolina from I would say midways down is where I really started seeing it. Up in the northern part of North Carolina, northwestern part, I mainly saw a lot of flooding minus the mud. But when we got down to just south of Avery County, that's where I noticed all of the mud accumulations and stuff, and you could really see the mud line in the trees, and that sort of thing. That was no problem being able to identify the water depth in those areas once you hit the mud line. And then in the other areas, the only way you could see the water depth was the debris in the trees. A lot of these plastic bags like you get at Walmart or Food Line or somewhere like that, you could tell exactly where the water levels were with the plastic and debris in the trees. But the mud line was very identifiable south of Avery County. I mean, they got a lot of it was sand rock and stuff like that, but the mud was very identifiable, especially down through Bat Cave and Swannanoa and Hendersonville, all those areas down in there. And so, you know, it's a really bad situation. And the big thing is nobody's covering our folks in the mountains. It's all pushed to the side.
Yeah.
No media coverage at all.
The quote unquote legitimate media out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're really not journalists anymore. They're activists, if that's the way you want to put it, for their own agendas.
Well, they can read a monitor pretty well, can't they?
Yeah. That wouldn't work for me.
Well, I told you we need to pray over this and bite on my tongue because I am wearing my socks today that says, "How may I offend you today?"
Yeah.
And so we're very opinionated in our household. And
Well, you know, everybody's got their opinions and stuff of everything, and the biggest thing we want to do is keep this front and center and out front because our people haven't had any help.
No,
They've been kicked to the curb.
well, I take that back. God's been all over those mountains, and He stirred the hearts of we the people, and those are we the people around the world. I'm seeing comments and under the Amazon registry thank you notes where people send these wonderful encouraging words and prayers. We're hearing love come in from all around the world, and we need to keep in mind that we the people, we have a common issue.
Yeah,
I think
we do.
Maybe say.
We do, and I'm just thankful things are changing.
Yes.
In 2 days, and
I hope so.
hopefully shortly thereafter, our people will get some help. and not the red tape bureaucracy that they're facing now.
Yes.
And they're freezing to death. I just got off the phone with Brother Bud, and he is taking another load up today, 150 propane tanks, and he asked me if we could get some more bottles here. So once we finish this live feed, I'm going to my buddy's store over here and see about ordering another 120-pound tanks just to have for spares, because it is so cold in the mountains that the people are going through that propane. It's not just running it at night. They're having to run
All
it
day.
constantly to
Okay.
stay warm, and it's really bad. And it's not just for those folks. There's not as many now as there was that's in the tents, but it's also those folks that are in the campers. And now we're starting to have problems with the campers generating mold, because they're keeping the campers sealed up. It's so cold and they're sweating, and it's starting to create a mold problem.
Yeah.
So now they're having to learn how to keep
They
the
gotta
mold.
vent those things.
They've got to vent those campers in it, and that's what they're learning real fast. And the propane, we're burning through the propane, folks. I'm gonna just tell you that right up front. It's a lot of propane, and Bud told me just a few minutes ago that there's 2 more churches that have contacted him that are running small relief centers and asking for propane. So that's gonna put our relief center total up to 12 now. And these relief centers are relying heavily on our propane deal that we've got, that we're providing propane to, and heaters, and it's very critical. But we want to continue moving forward in what we've got going on, and what you're here for, and that's to talk about this registry and the job that you've done. Now, in the very beginning, you had started gathering stuff to go to the mountains, and this was before you even knew about us. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it first started in our own home, pulling off of our shelves, our extras. It started with watching the needs, and the needs were changing so fast that it was very frustrating, to be honest with you, because you just want to do something. You know, I felt like a racehorse, just antsy to get out of this, just get on me in the race. But the needs were changing, and it was a matter of trying to figure out, did they have electricity? Do they have the conveniences, or are they going to have to live off grid? And I'm assuming most everybody had to do off grid with the way it hit up there and the destruction of the telephone poles and things. So it started with that. We rallied our friends, and we have a very small group of friends, and our family and our neighbors, and Destination Arts Center in Oak Ridge. That's where we started. We had our friends, the Crutchfields. They brought over some baby supplies and bottled water. Our neighbor next door helped us with an adopted family, supplies through the other organization that we tried to go to. We tried to make it to when we met you that day. We had, just everyone was just trying to help. So that's where we started, just kind of local friends, and just the needs at the time were a whirlwind. It was hard to keep up with it, because people were so generous, and it was like, just as soon as you wanted to help here, need met, now you're over here. So my head was spinning, honestly.
Now, your first official amount of stuff you collected was intended to go to Spruce Pine.
It was. I kept up with a realtor in Concord. Her name is Lee Brown, and boy, she was just gone from the beginning. And by going to her website, she put a lot of information out there. First of all, she recommended, instead of just kind of hitting everything with buckshot, find you a drive. So with Destination Arts Center, we did a baby shower, and that's where we did baby bottles. There was a ton of formula heading up the mountain and nothing to put it in.
You're right.
So-
You're absolutely right. 'Cause
And
the formula
so-
was there and it lacked bottles. 'Cause
Had
we
no
had to-
bottles.
We was pushing, trying to, anybody would call, say, what do you need? We need baby bottles.
We need baby bottles.
We need that type of stuff,
And the brushes to go along with it is we also did that. There was there was a family that donated. They had their business collected a bunch of baby items, and that was donated through this baby shower. Their donation stalled out and was redirected to here. So the theme of my journey on this was that every time I tried to go through a door, boom, it shut. So it was obvious where I needed to go. But baby items, coats, drawing on the coat ministry, experiences that we had, the hats, the gloves, we had those. We had neighbors around the corner, some friends of ours that donated some clothing. I sorted out the items that needed to go for winter, things that were more spring, got all that packaged up, sorted all those baby items. So a lot of what I did is drawing on the experience of the coat ministry is labeling, clean, and doing a lot of the work that the volunteers can't do on the Bethel end, making sure the items are clean. I cleaned those baby bottles. Make sure every single one of them, every nipple, every one of them was ready to go for those babies.
Right out of the package, straight into the cleaning and ready to go
They were
for use,
clean
so that there wasn't no
sterilized.
chemical residue or
That's right.
anything from the factory,
That's right.
so that the kids wouldn't come into contact with unwashed but new bottles and
That's
nipples
right.
and stuff.
They were ready to go. Socks, we bought, clean socks and brand new socks, and we cleaned those up. So whatever we needed to do to kind of on our end to help on that end, on the Bethel end or wherever it was going. So we were supposed to go to Spruce Pine. We had a contact. I reached out to the contact to find out what items they needed. We did a drive. I contacted her the week before, October 20th is the first time I met you, as a Sunday. And I contacted her the week before and let her know, this is what we got. I'm getting it clean, sorted, and I'll have it to you on Sunday. That Wednesday is when I found Deep River Farm Channel in my studying of the whole situation, because I watched a ton of videos. I immersed myself. My husband thought I was obsessed. I probably was obsessed. It's okay, because I studied and I learned and tried to figure out how to help. So anyway, Wednesday was when I found your channel. Thursday, I let the lady know that we were ready to roll. We'd be up there the 20th, and she told me that the church was wanting to get back to normalcy, that they wanted to get back to Sunday services. They were no longer accepting Sunday donations, and not to come. Well,
The door was shut.
don't tell me no, because I'm gonna do it, and I'll pray for forgiveness later. And that's what we did. I still had plans of going up there. If I had to drop it off on their front porch and they figured out on Monday, I didn't care. It was going, because we had adopted that family and made a promise to them, if nobody else. So, so come Sunday, truck's loaded, we're ready to go, and my husband had scouted the route on Thursday to go up the mountain. By Sunday, that road was closed, and we had to go a different route that would have taken us 4 hours to get there. So he's like, we can't do this. This door's shut. And I said, well, I found a guy in Randleman, and I think he's legit. I hope, I pray he's legit. And here we go. I messaged you. I called you.
Yeah.
And you were available. You said, bring it on. You helped us unload the truck. And we sat here and had a conversation for about 2 hours about Western North Carolina and the events of the world.
Yeah.
So.
That is correct. Yeah, you had
So
a big load. It was strapped down with straps and on a pallet. And
we weren't playing around. We were going to drive 4 hours to Spruce Pine.
it was a lot of stuff.
And I didn't know what kind of weather or whatever. And that was just from the baby shower and 3 families. Now, the South Carolina donation that I mentioned was my friend Dina that lives next door to us. She reached out to a family member, her nephew in South Carolina, just for a family checkup, just a call. And she told him about what was happening up there, and he picked that ball up and he ran with it, and he rallied his troops in his area. No church involvement, from what she said. It was just businesses in the community and the people that he knew. And when I came back, I was loaded to bear. That that trip, that South Carolina donation stalled out in Stokesdale and then made it here. So that was 3 truckloads.
Mm-hmm.
He brought up a truck and a trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and we broke it up into 3 loads to bring it down here. With the tires on my truck was about flat.
That was about the same time that, now the mainstream crowd out there, you know who we talking about. But that was about the same time that Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha had set foot there and was confiscating the supplies.
It sure was. That Lee Brown mentioned it on her channel, and she diverted hers right around them.
Yep, and we mentioned it on our channel here, and when that took place, we had people driving from Maryland, Kentucky, Virginia, South Carolina, Florida, was bringing stuff here because we had a way around it. We knew where to go, and we didn't have to worry about them trying to take us. They wouldn't have took our stuff. I can guarantee you they would have not gotten any of it.
No.
I don't care who they were, what they said. It was going to the people of Western North Carolina.
Yeah, I wouldn't let them have it either.
So, anyway, on the 2nd of November, we carried that gigantic load up there, which was 4 covered trailer fulls and 5 pickup trucks, a tractor trailer, and a bus load. I mean, we completely overwhelmed the Bethel Wesleyan Church.
Help is on the way, right?
Help is on the way, and
Yes,
that was
sir.
the music behind it. Help is on the way. And once we got that stuff in there, it was all you could do to walk through. It was a
Yeah.
massive amount of stuff in a gymnasium, filled it up. And it took quite a while to unload it, but they had a huge group of people there. I'm gonna say at least 3/4 of the congregation there helping unload.
Yeah.
And it took 2 or 3 hours to unload us. And then we went into the mountains and went in there so that some of the people from the different churches, because by this time there was 21 churches involved in the operation. And that's not counting all the individuals that donated and drove from all these hours away because they didn't want Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha getting their stuff,
Yeah.
that they wanted to go to the people.
I like to call them the F word.
So, anyway, as of the 2nd, you continued following, watching what was going on, and this is when, I guess about this time when you asked me about building the registry. Somewhere about this time. This was about when they were starting to be able to get back to mail delivery service and delivery service, and Amazon was able to start about that point, maybe a little after, of being able to deliver to the Bethel Church. So you had asked me
Yeah, it
about.
was right before Thanksgiving and moving into Christmas.
Yeah, it was actually before then because we put the May Day for heaters out on the 21st.
Okay.
So you had built that between the 2nd and time enough to make that happen.
Yeah, you and I talked about it on the 20th, the desperation that was coming with the winter months. And we, being native, knew what
Yep.
to expect.
Yep.
And we talked about the concern. And I remember mentioning it to you that Sunday. I was like, well, there's this lady named Tara, an Appalachian homestead. And she just had a huge success with the Buddy Heater people. And I was hoping to get her involved. You'd never heard of her before.
I had not.
And well, by the time I brought that second load down here from South Carolina, you knew what she was capable of and all her Patera warriors.
Yep. Well, yeah, by the time the second loaded,
Went off.
because she picked up on us before we made that November 2nd. So I knew about her then, but prior to that I had never heard about her channel. And cause she's out of Tennessee. And when she picked up on our channel, she had found out about Project Santa. And us trying to go ahead and see the foresight of being able to help these children because we knew it was coming. And my wife's uncle was involved in that program, and I had just made the call to find out what we needed to do to mimic their project to help these kids in western
Right.
North Carolina. They took it and ran with it, and in 15 minutes told me it would be fully covered.
Well, what's interesting and really cool to see how God works is that the same day I'm meeting you and we're discussing, hey, there's this lady named Patera. I watched her video on the Project Santa. She was like, well, James and I was praying this Sunday and we were hoping to do something for the Western North Carolina people. So if you step back and look at how things are working and falling into place, and then her megaphone effort rebounded, boom, right back to her with her cousin.
Yeah.
And needing the heaters where her cousin is, so.
Yeah, through the registry and the Mayday for heaters that Tim was receiving, we had a humongous load of heaters.
Over 4,000.
Yeah, that went in. And by the time that Patera's cousin in Newland had got and figured out they were going to open up a relief center out of the clinic, they were needing heaters. People was already cold. We was able to take an entire truckload of heaters
Right
to Newland and provide to the upcountry clinic up there in Newland. So everything went full circle real fast. But,
well, and you know that this relief effort is blessed because of the lack that happened with the veterans and that recovery home that you mentioned, and how their resources went to Western North Carolina, and because of everyone's generosity went back to them. And so
yeah, we was able to help that group of homeless veterans in Charlotte because, like you said, everything was depleted. All the stocks from Costco and Sam's Club and just the standard Walmarts and grocery stores was depleted.
Yeah.
And all this stuff went to Western North Carolina, left folks like that in despair. And they were then trailing down these operations and these centers that could possibly help them.
Right.
And we were able to help them. So we were.
That's pretty cool.
We were very blessed with so many generous people out there that trusted us, and we was trying to be as transparent as possible with everything that was going on, and the money was flowing in, and so we was able to buy additional heaters and buy additional hoses and stuff and continue sending on and above beyond what everybody else was sending. And this enabled it to pack the Bethel Wesleyan church basement, the Sunday school rooms, 2 shipping containers, the gymnasium, and overflow into 2 churches in Forest City, and had a massive stock. And then on top of that, it kept coming in, and the Henderson County commissioners gave us a warehouse space about a mile from the church. And right now, we still have 50 pallets of stuff shrink wrapped.
Thank you, commissioners.
Yes, thank you very much,
I'm hoping
Henderson
that-
County Commissioner. I'm hoping
Thank
Haywood
you.
looks at this and
I
figures
was
out how to
just gonna
run that
say,
county.
after what I saw with Haywood over there at John Ward and the Appalachian Channel, they need to get it together up there, don't they?
Yes, but
Get their priorities straight.
they gave us that to store stuff to help the people, because it was not only helping the people in Henderson County, in the Hendersonville area and Flat Rock area, it was also going all the way to the Virginia line. And we were able to, when this all started, I had a friend that was a marketing person for NASCAR. And Joe Gibbs and Rick Hendricks had haulers in Atlanta. They were filling up to bring from Atlanta to Western North Carolina. And I was trying to get those trucks to Bethel. And I missed it. They decided at the last minute to carry everything to the North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Well, didn't Hendrick end up over there at that Harley Davidson in Asheville?
I'm not
sorry,
sure.
Asheville that flooded. I know there was a NASCAR group that was helping that.
But anyway, those supplies moved from the Wilkesboro Speedway over to Bristol. And lo and behold, if we didn't get that truck anyway, boom, we got all the generators and stuff that we needed. All we had to do was make a call and get the generators. And we've been able to utilize NASCAR, what they raised and what they donated themselves, all the race teams, out of the Bristol Motor Speedway, and feed it back around and take care of all the people in western North Carolina that needed generators that we ran across. We had like an unlimited supply.
And you were saying Cajun Navy was working out of Bristol.
They was working out of a lot of locations.
Yeah.
They were responsible for the pack mule teams and stuff like that, getting supplies in. We were able to bring food in to those locations, and those pack mules taking it up into Bat Cave and places like that, helping the people in Swananoa that was living on the river in a tent. And I mean, our resources, if people had any idea how big this got, and the donations that came in, how many people that we were able to help,
Yeah.
they wouldn't believe it.
Well, I didn't keep track of how the figures on Amazon. I just try to keep up with putting stuff on there, but I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars are rolling through that. And as much as I like to fly under the radar, I felt like it was important to put a face with that person running the registry. They
Yeah,
protect.
you kept telling me you wasn't gonna do it. I said, people need to see who you are.
No, I said I didn't want to do it.
You did.
When I saw that video of Ross, the man behind the phone, I was like, oh, here we go. I knew it was coming.
Oh, it was coming.
And that's fine. I like to fly under the radar. I don't want to have my face out there. I try to be private, but with the grifting and the things going on up there, we need to pull the plug. So that's why I'm here, and putting a face with the Amazon list, because there's a ton of products moving off that thing.
So, give me a breakdown of how you even set a registry up. Somebody may be watching now that's thinking about setting up a registry. Is it the same thing to set up like for a baby registry
Yeah,
as it is
basically.
for a gift registry? So it's just basically,
Yeah.
you tell me.
Just have to choose your occasion when you go on there to start the registry. They hide the shipping address because of the wedding registries and the baby registries. They don't want strangers, if you make it public, just showing up at your door, advertising your business. So you go on there and you choose your occasion, you make a gift registry. And I learned this from Lee Brown, the lady in Concord. It's very simple. It takes a matter of seconds, really, just a couple minutes to set it up. It asks, what is your name for it? What's your address? And then you shop. And for me, the longest part of setting up the first registry, I went through and I added the request from Pastor Tim of the phase 1 through 3 information that you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
Then once we realized phase 1, which was the food and water and clothing, was no longer needed, that stuff was removed.
Mm-hmm.
And we focused on warmth, which was phase 2, and phase 3 was your reconstruction. I knew when Patera's warriors got a hold of this that it was going to explode. And so that's why I wanted to put as much on there as possible, because I had a really bad feeling. We were promised a long, dark winter, and that's exactly what we're getting up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted those items up that mountain while the getting was good. And I knew that you all would be good stewards and find places for it to go. And also, I'm sorry, Pastor Tim.
He's watching, I'm sure. He knew this was going to
Please don't put my face on a wanted picture. I'm sorry about all the cardboard.
But we had that, me and Tim had that discussion. He said, I don't know where we're gonna put it all. He said, we might need to slow it down or stop it temporarily. And I had mentioned that to you, and your words were, the Lord knows exactly how much we need up there.
That's the way I feel about it.
And I got to thinking about that. I said, yeah. And I mentioned that to Pastor Tim, and he said, you got a point.
I mean, that's not, I just was making a registry.
And
He controlled the amount that went up there.
overflowed everything they had. And that's why it went to all these different locations. And I mean, we took 9 pallet loads of stuff to Ellenboro, to the volunteer relief camp, and got them started and set to help people in Bat Cave and Lake Lure and Chimney Rock area. And without that, they would have not been able to even start helping those folks in there. They were sending in construction crews and volunteer crews, and they had nothing to work with. And we brought 9 pallet loads of stuff from this church, the 3rd round or 4th round, to Ellenboro. Hello, Tammy.
No.
She's a trooper too. I'm telling you what, they've really helped tremendously the southern the mountains, and people have no idea about it. But it's a free place to stay. They have locations set up. They got a big, I call it a MASH 407 710 out in the field.
That's the lady that had the big MASH tent and those
Yep.
sweet guys that had come down
Yep, from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they saved B-Log kids for Christmas. That was, I had took those 9 pallet loads of stuff from here and dropped them in Ellenburg with 2 other pickup truckloads. And I left from there and went into the mountains, met up with Bud. We went up to Burnsville, and that's where we ran into Chrissy and found out about the 40 children that weren't to have Christmas.
Yeah.
And I had just met those guys from Pennsylvania, and they told me they brought, I don't remember how many truckloads of toys. I picked up the phone and called Tammy and told her, and they were there in 4 hours with all those toys.
That's awesome.
Just that quick.
I saw a video, someone was videoing a resource center that had closed down because they were getting entirely too much stuff for the space that they had. And the children were coming there going, well, where's our stuff? You know, like there was nothing there, but obviously the needs, so with B-Log, I asked Chrissy, I was like, okay, all this protein's going in, all these things you need. She's using her experience with a general store that actually is no longer there to stock B-Log like it's a general store. So my question to her is, well, what are we doing for these kids? And so we are going to set them up a little old-fashioned candy shop in there, and for them, hopefully to boost some morale. So if you happen to see on the B-Log registry a bucket of candy, that's why. Yeah, we stock them with meat. There's tons of protein going up that mountain. Now let's give them a little treat. They deserve a little morale boost.
Yeah, there's a lot of depression in the mountains, I can tell you that. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. People don't know where to turn to, that they've been beating their head against the wall. It's cold, they're in substandard housing, and the only people that are helping are the churches.
And their home is trashed.
Yeah, and they don't, or they don't have a
They
home.
have to walk outside and see that every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I can't even imagine.
it's like a war zone. I've been up there a lot. I've been with Bud a lot, and I've been on my own a lot, looking and surveying stuff and just checking things out to see if there's another place we need to have needs met. And you know, it's just if you talk to people, they've just got a blank stare. It's bad.
Shocked.
Yeah, I mean, they still haven't got over it. And you know, there's a mortgage on a house that all that's left is the brick foundation and maybe some tore up septic tank line. And they're paying a mortgage on that. And the mortgage companies are requiring these folks to continue paying homeowners insurance to a structure that is either gone or inhabitable and has no electricity, no water. And why would you, and the insurance company's already denied them, why would you continue to pay a company for insurance that's not gonna benefit you?
I don't know.
And the mortgage companies are forcing their hand on it, because if they refuse to pay it, the mortgage company's gonna take it out and make them pay the mortgage company at a higher rate.
Well, you just mentioned that lady who's having to pay her electrical bill even though she hasn't had electricity, and it's prorated.
And they're after her to pay the prorated amount, and still ain't no electricity,
Yeah. Well,
you know?
they deserve better. We're gonna send them a bucket of candy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's ridiculous that the ones that are in charge are not helping. But I'm grateful for people waking up and seeing that we really don't need them.
Yeah,
We don't.
yeah.
There was a time in this country where we didn't, we weren't so dependent.
Yeah.
And we relied on community.
And church.
And church. Well,
Yeah.
when I say community, I mean the church
Yeah.
included. And it's amazing to see. I mean, I was here delivering. One of the last trips I made was just to bring a car seat down here that I forgot on like the 4th trip we made or whatever. And I was talking to a lady about how an atheist came in and brought some things down. He's stirring the hearts of people.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
So we need to realize that we're humanity, and I really don't care who you voted for at this point, red, blue, whatever. North Carolina did not deserve that because they're red, no more than California deserves it because they're blue. So this mentality, oh, you get what you get because you voted for it, it's disgusting. We need to drop that, and we need to focus on humanity. We don't deserve it, and we need to come together as we're intended to do.
Yep.
And love on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been another theme of Western North Carolina, is that how much people really care, and they want us to succeed up here, and they want us to get back on our feet. But they are in dire straits. They're on their knees up there.
Yeah, and this week, the coldest weather of the season is going to be on them starting about Tuesday.
And you said teens?
No, single digits there. We're going to be in the low teens here, possibly 10 degrees, 9 degrees here, but they're expecting high winds. I talked to Tim, and he said by next weekend they're talking 25 below zero wind chill. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being in a tent or a camper?
No, and I'm looking at my yard, there's still snow on the ground.
Yep. Yep.
So I imagine that it's pretty icy up there.
Mm-hmm.
Still slick.
Oh, very slick.
I would not want to be going up and down that mountain on any of those switchbacks.
That's the
those
very
gorges.
That's the very reason I didn't go this morning. I've got a busload of stuff now to go, and I called Pastor Tim yesterday, and I said, "Y'all still forecasted sleet and freezing rain?" He said, "Yeah, but it's supposed to warm up, but then it's supposed to really turn cold tomorrow night." And I said, "I don't think I'd be too worried about going up in the morning. Is coming back tomorrow night in that bus and having to make that 2.5 mile trek down the mountain at an 8% grade."
Yeah.
And it's icy. So I told him
You're gonna end up down the bottom of the gorge.
I didn't want to be down in the Green River Gorge. That's a long drop off that bridge.
I'm gonna say those switchbacks make the butt pucker on a good day, much less on a day where there's some snow and ice on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that trip we made through Bat Cave the day after they made the road where you could just get through it was something on it itself. But the big thing is we were able to get all that stuff into Western North Carolina once the delivery stuff started back, and that is all attributed to you.
okay,
You was a big help.
thank you.
Tremendous help.
I don't claim it. I just work my thumbs for a few more weeks. I just work my thumbs, plain, and try to put some experiences to good use.
Yeah. But without that, and people being able to help, because people from way off, I mean, we had people send stuff from Brazil through that Amazon registry, Canada, Australia, and all over the United States, where people were not close enough to be able to come in and help volunteer and deliver and things like that.
Right.
But this was their way of being able to contribute to the folks of Western North Carolina that had seen what they had seen on when it was covered through the major news networks, which quickly pulled out and took off and moved on to the next agenda. But they've continued to follow this on social media.
Yeah.
And without the social media, I'm afraid we would have lost thousands of people in the mountains.
Absolutely.
Just to be honest with you.
Just from hypothermia alone.
Yeah. And, it was a lifesaver that first week just to getting the food and the water there.
Yeah.
And
well, I had made it, and I remember texting you a couple times. I'm like, Wayne, do you want to use this? Do you want to use this? And I'm assuming you were busy, and I didn't really hear a solid yes or no. But when that Mayday for heaters went out, I'm like, all right, Wayne. I was telling my husband and daughter, like, come on, Wayne. Come on. Pull the cord, Wayne. Pull the cord, Wayne. Tell people about this Amazon gift registry. And it was perfect timing, and it went up there exactly when it needed to go. And I know the registry alone sent 900 heaters.
oh yeah.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was a lot of propane tanks.
Yeah,
And now we're finding out, even though we sent probably 400 or 500 of them, that we need more.
yeah, yeah, Bethel has purchased 100, from their church and getting them filled. So far, they've only been able to get 60 of that 100 because it's cold everywhere on the East Coast. The demands for those 20-pound tanks are tremendous. And so we're pulling resources all the way out here, away from the mountain area, to get the propane tanks and stuff. I mean, you can go to Lowe's up there and you're not gonna get a tank. But, so they rely on us to help them get stuff, and that's what we're doing. And, that's the reason we became a Western North Carolina donation site. We're on the outer edge of the western part of the state. The Midway Church is in the North Carolina West District of the Wesleyan Church. The one on the other side of town is in the East District.
Oh,
So we're right on the edge, and when Pastor Tim's church, the Bethel Church, became a designated hub through the Wesleyan Church, then that's when everything started taking shape. And
well, it's been a very efficient network.
Oh, yeah.
Very efficient system, filtering and funneling it through all the outside churches. And what I love to see is the fact that it's a multi-denominational effort. You said Wesleyans,
Yeah, they're
Methodists,
Yep.
there's Baptists involved.
We've even got some independent churches.
Yeah.
We have some that are independent, kind of Pilgrim Holiness churches. We've
You
had,
mentioned that Nazarene camp up there is
Yep.
helping
Yep.
house volunteers. So,
Yep.
and to me, that's how it should be.
Yep, yep. In the end, it's only gonna be two denominations anyway, those for him and those against him.
Amen.
So, there you go.
Choose your master.
That's right, that's right. And, so, you know,
Choose your master.
everything has fallen into place, and now, you mentioned the B-Log registry. You put that registry up, we put it out there, and in how many hours was it completely sold out?
I spoke to Chrissy that morning, Tuesday morning, and gave her the link at 11:01 a.m. And by the time I checked, that's when I go in to do the registry stuff, right before bed. And about 11 o'clock on Wednesday night, that thing was empty with the exception of some gift cards. Boom, hit empty.
Yeah,
And so now, Chrissy, she's a boss. She is managing their, I'm gonna say, general store. We're not charging, there's no charge. But the way she's doing her inventory, the way she's using the registry is very smart. And she's the one that's sending me links the majority of the time. This is what I want, this is the quantity I need, and then I'll send her a little thing back, check mark, it's done. And then she's able to see it from her side and see what's sold or whatever, or I'll screenshot her what has sold and I'll send it to her. Or if it's an item like, people will see on there a security system. We need to protect these donations. People will see on there beach carts. I chose an expensive beach cart. Why? Why instead of the $40 one that's going to tear up in a week, I chose the one that's $130 because it's got all-terrain wheels on it. There was a cart donated. It went within 5 minutes because someone needed that cart to go from their car up to their house. You said that there, I don't know how many people are walking to this resource center, but they need to have a way to get back up the mountain to wherever they're going. And so that cart's going to help them, and it's going to be something that they can reuse over and over again. Tote bags instead of plastic bags. Part of what I was doing on the registry was making sure that there wasn't a bunch of packaging. There's enough trash and debris up there right now. We don't need to be sending a bunch more. Or a seller that's in the United States. Amazon is full of Chinese sellers. And I made an effort to look for United States products, or at least a United States seller. So, and also too, once something was sold out, I'd see on my side where I might have to go to a different seller because that seller was sold out. So it's constantly monitoring it. It's not just adding it. There's a little bit of research. I didn't know the first thing about hot tents and hot tent stoves, but I knew that they needed something a little bit thicker than some of those random old tents. And so I researched it and tried to find one that was a good price range and sturdy and things. And that's why those ended up on there.
Yep. Now, you had mentioned earlier about comments and stuff on the, registry.
Yeah.
Have you got any good examples you'd like to
I
share?
can pull them up right now. I can
Go
read
ahead.
them straight from
Go
the
ahead and
registry
pull
if
it
you
up.
want me to.
While you're doing that, I had talked to Pastor Tim yesterday, and believe it or not, even with all of the food and stuff that's been sent up, now some of the relief centers are going to be getting in a situation probably within a month of where they're going to be needing some food supplies and things like that. And so we're getting ready to possibly do one for the Canton area. If you remember the Canton area, that was one of the networks that relief centers that Pastor Tim's church has been supplying. They're a very small relief center due to the fact that they can't store a whole lot because of the community center, the fellowship hall is tiny. So we're looking right now at possibly doing an Amazon gift registry for the Canton church. And it's going to depend on whether she thinks that they can actually take the deliveries and be able to store them in a fashion that won't overload that small fellowship hall. So have you found some?
Yeah. Someone bought the little container of bazooka gum for B-Log. A lady named Carrie. Enjoy the sweet treat. God bless you all.
I know in the beginning, when we were,
Just lots of prayers.
oh yeah, a lot of people praying. Most every comment says they're praying for these people and
Thousands of
everything.
prayers.
Oh yeah.
A gentleman named Stephen. He bought a Lowe's gift card. Please know you all are not forgotten. May God bless and keep you all warm and dry.
Yeah.
God bless and keep you all.
And then a lot of the monetary donations that came into the Midway Church and the Central Church and to the Project Santa, people would put in notes and things, and I've read every one of those, and they were touching.
Well, see, I didn't know if I assumed that these would be that little slip that you get in your Amazon package. So I hope that all these messages were seen on the Bethel end, and Christy says she's finding them and reading them. So these messages and these sweet prayers are making it to the people, but it's praying for you, encouraging words, and some of these folks that were on the Bethel list, which has become the central global list now, I see the same names.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching, they're going back and forth, they're supporting this mission.
Yeah, and that,
Here's a gentleman named Richard from Wilmington.
They're from all over.
This is B-Log.
They're from all over. Now, when this thing started, and people was emailing me, texting me, calling me, I couldn't even keep up with, let alone the comments. I couldn't. You were my eyes on these comments and following, because I couldn't help organize all these donations and set up the logistics, and we made the videos and answer the emails.
You didn't know what you were getting into with the Patera Warrior, did you?
When Patera,
she unleashed something on you,
she unleashed the warrior tribe on us, and I'm gonna tell you, without those folks, this would have never happened.
And the Poplar Report.
Yeah, and Steve Popper with the Popper Report.
Those folks.
John Ward, the Appalachian Channel, the Presley Girls, Bibles and Barbells, just to name a few. Melanchthon Creek Farm. I mean, there was a bunch of, there was like 13 or 14 YouTube channels that I can just think of off the top of my head, those few. And without those people mentioning us, the lady in Thomasville, the crocheted clogger was another one. Lady in Charlotte, I can't remember the name of her channel, but she was putting us on there. The Presley Girls' mother, she has a channel. She was mentioning us on her channel. You know, and without,
I didn't realize they were related until I was like, that looks like that lady on the other channel.
And without all these channels pushing the narrative and of what we were doing, this would have never been as successful as it has been. And you know, without all these donations coming in, there would have been a lot of lives lost in western North Carolina, no doubt about it. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you being the eyes, finding these comments, and you would circle it and text it to me, and I could address it, but I couldn't read every comment. There was just thousands of them
And I
coming
think
in.
people understood that. There were some that were asking you direct questions, hoping you would see it. There were a lot of great advice. There's a lady named Jan in Massachusetts that's got some great off-grid advice. Hey, Jan. You get to see my face. I don't get to see yours. But she's had some great advice. And I remember when we were there volunteering that Wednesday that I was helping with cook stoves, the wood cook stoves, and cast iron that you mentioned on one of your videos, and then reading the comments. This lady was the one that, so, and whoever this CC Ryder is, he cracks me up.
Oh, yeah, I know who he is personally.
I'm assuming he's an Elvis fan.
Maybe. Yeah,
But
so,
just the connections that was made there, a lot of questions, a lot of people wanting to help. Where do I send my check? Maybe unfamiliar, not tech savvy, to go to the description box. And just trying to, there was a lot of great advice. There was a lot of off-grid advice. I pulled from that advice to help with the registry for some of those things. The hot tents is where I got that idea from. So that's where I got it from. So there was a lot of people, a lot of prayers, a lot of advice, a lot of encouraging words. And I just knew that you were going to get overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, it didn't take long.
No, it was instant.
It was pretty well instant on all of that.
But you held your own.
Well,
right.
I was trying. I just couldn't get to the comments and the emails and.
Well, and you you should not have had to do that because you were busy with logistics and communicating with the different churches and things. So you didn't realize you were about to adopt a personal assistant, did you?
Well, I tell you what, without you doing that and bringing attention to some of the things that need to be, brought to attention, things could have went sideways. And, without you doing that, I appreciate it. You don't know how much.
You're welcome.
Because it would have been, some things I could have missed on where people need to send this. They was having trouble with an address. And Pastor Tim did say yesterday, for those of you that have mailed checks and supporting the Bethel Church, he said, it's not that they're sitting on the check. Sometimes it's taken 14 days to get it from the post office because they have still got a glitch. When you send it to the address, for some reason, they have not straightened out the glitch from the hurricane where it goes to another post office and sits. So it comes to this first post office and it sits for 7 days before they ever move it to the correct post office for it to be delivered.
See, and that's the thing
So folks, don't worry about them sitting on your checks. That is not the case. It's a glitch in the system with the post office. It's just not sitting there. So he wanted me to make sure we clarified that and to let people know.
That's important, and like I said, that's the reason why I came out of my hole was to put my face out here, is because people are donating a lot of money and a lot of time and supporting us in a loving way, and they need to make sure, I know my family does, that whoever we donate to is legit.
And it's making it to the people.
We don't even donate to Red Cross and these huge places. We donate to local. We start in Guilford County. Out of the Garden Project is one of the ones that we support because they service hungry in Guilford County. We support widows and orphans. We would rather give you the cash directly to you to go get what you need than have it go through some huge organization that takes however much for their to
percentage,
run whatever percentage
admin
to run
costs.
it, admin costs, whatever. I want 100% of my effort to go to the who needs it, and with the exception of the sales tax on this is tax free. Why are we filtering our money to have it mismanaged?
Right.
So we can do this directly. We don't need a bunch of foolishness.
let's move on to the questions. Let's see if we've got
Okay.
any questions from our viewers out there.
Well, I wanted to read this one more I found. I was holding it till we talked. There's
Okay.
a lady named Rosemary. Praying for all of Western North Carolina. My heart is breaking for what happened to this beautiful area of the USA and its wonderful people. Keep your requests coming. The good Lord will answer your call. Love from Mineola, New York.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of,
Oh, yeah.
that's it, that kind of encouragement.
Oh, yeah.
And even handwritten notes that people were sending when they would send the packages straight to Midway that day, I was handing them out to the volunteer I was working with, and I'm like, you should keep these and read these and share these with your group. So,
Yeah. What kind of questions
so
we
are there
got?
questions?
They should be in the comments there.
Well, oops, what am I doing? Oops. Y'all about tech savvy. Give me a mule. Are there any questions?
We have to start all the way at the top and work down.
Okay.
Oh, there's a bunch of comments.
There is. Thanks y'all for joining in. Say it, Jax. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, this wouldn't be possible without all the support of all you folks out there that's supported Operation Mountain Relief, Project Santa, and the Helping Hands Project.
S. Elliott, yep, Ryan Hall, y'all. That's who we go with. That feller's up in Kentucky. You want some accurate weather, Ryan Hall, y'all channel. And that's the thing, is all of the YouTubers just getting out there like you called for a megaphone.
Mm-hmm. It worked, didn't it?
It did. Something about straw close to the gas heater. Yeah, we don't want any combustibles near these heaters.
The truth.
Great advice. Thanks so much, Holly. The easier it is to give, the better. You're welcome, Unicorn Purple. That's that Lady Jan.
Yep, I see a lot of stuff
She's
there.
on it. Veronica Harwick here. She gets on there explaining the insurance industry quite a bit.
Read some of the comments there.
All right, Spruce Pines is northwest of Newland, and more elevated surrounding Spruce Pines are hills and elevated places. Yeah, there's something special in them hills of Spruce Pines that they use water to mine. Y'all should research that.
Yeah, it's that valuable quartz.
I saw an article that there are 2 quartz mines in the world, and guess where they are? 3 guesses, y'all.
There's a good comment. They sent all the money to Ukraine. That's exactly right. That's why Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha had nothing for Western North Carolina. They had already depleted the coffers and sent it overseas.
Yep. Taxation without representation, isn't that what that's called?
Something like that.
Just because it says it was given to a department, does it mean it was used for the people and to the people? I'm assuming that we're talking about the Victorian Edge is talking about departments in the church, and churches are set up where they have to have accounts, right? And so when you send a check in, you have to make sure that it goes to the account that you want it to rather than the
Yes.
general fund.
Correct, yeah.
So for instance, when we ran that coat ministry, if you gave your tithings in the memo, you had to make a note, coat ministry.
Right.
If
yeah.
not, it went to electricity or whatever.
Yeah. Now they got to the point where they were seeing a lot of stuff come from other states and things. So they knew automatically that it wasn't from the local congregation. So even if somebody didn't mark it by accident, it went on to Western North Carolina.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the questions that I was trying to help people with when I was monitoring your comments, is that if you're gonna send a check, make sure is it going to Project Santa? If it is going to Project Santa, do you want to support Project Santa, or do you want to do the Western North Carolina kids? Or the Central Global Adopt a Family, do they adopt families and then they have Western North Carolina families that they've added, or is this something that they've done all the time and just added that as a layer?
This is the first time this has ever happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious about that.
They were one of the original churches in the first part to help raise food and water, and funds for Western North Carolina on the first trip of October 5, right, the week after the hurricane. They were part of that effort to get 60,000 pounds of food into the mountains the
Yeah.
first week.
Okay.
And from that point on, they began following the suit of what Midway was doing and helping get the winter clothing, just keep them warm and not dying, freezing to death. It was the period between October 5th and November the 2nd when the Helping Hands idea emerged to try to help families, because we were finding out then about the insurance companies dropping coverage, refusing to cover the families, and people were paying mortgages on homes that no longer existed. So that's how the Helping Hands part of this came about. And the church is not a great big church in Asheboro, but they wanted to help. And through donations, once again, from all the folks out here that's been following this channel, that came over from Patera and the Appalachian channel and all these channels, Freshly Girls and all this stuff, and it has enabled them to take on more families to try to help. And right now, we were up to 10. We got one off, and but it looks like we get ready to take on the 10th again, because these families, they're there. We found out about one 2 days ago. They have not asked for any help, but now they're seeing that they're gonna be financially ruined.
Oh my gosh.
And without support, they're gonna bankrupt. And they put it off and not asked, and here it is, mid-January, and it's happened in September, and they're paying rent, they've got a mortgage, and they're having to continue, they're losing money on both ends, just any way you wanna look at
Is
it.
this the one that you were saying that has the old mortgage, the new mortgage, or the repairs, which is
Yes.
basically a second mortgage, and
Yes,
then the
and this is
rental?
another family in the same situation. They've got the old mortgage, they're gonna have to have a new mortgage, they're paying rent, they've also
This is the
lost.
second one in that situation?
And they've also lost their vehicles. So, they've got a loaner, somebody in the family gave them a vehicle to drive, and it's a mess. And, without help, they're gonna go belly up. I mean, they can't even go to work, without a vehicle.
Right.
And so that's,
And are they some of the folks that their job is still there?
I think so.
their
We've not got a
business is
whole
there?
lot of information on them yet. It's just been, some word of mouth through
Yeah.
this. And, it's someone that, Pastor Tim knows. And, he was not aware of them until just recently. And I think Bethel is trying to help them. I know they are, because they're gonna get some money this Sunday.
Good.
He's gonna take them a chunk to help them get a car and other things.
That's awesome. And it was so awesome to hear too, that the family, I think it was number 5, is already back in their
Yep,
house.
they're back in their home.
This is
They're-
what y'all did. Y'all did this. Y'all did this.
Yeah.
Not the F word,
Yeah, the family.
not any special administration.
Yeah, the
Y'all did this.
Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha was no help in that. It was all, donations from all the folks out here that's, seeing what we're doing and is a big part of it. And the local churches in this area, some of the churches in the Charlotte area that's in the North Carolina West District, the folks at the Central Church, the 21 churches that are contributing funds, from their churches into the main 4 churches and, things like that. So it's a huge push, all for the same goal.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I see a comment here about Stephanie at the Aeroponic Tower channel.
yep,
She's another little spitfire out there, boy.
Oh, yeah.
She is Appalachian, and she is working on those sheds, and
she is.
and not putting up with no mess and showing her transparency, so,
And see, a lot of people, you was mentioning in the Nazarene camp, and see, some of the Amish were staying at the Nazarene camp and building those sheds, and, here again, Henderson County provided them a location to build these sheds out in a warehouse where they were not in the weather. And through all the donations that folks gave through Operation Mountain Relief to get to Bethel at Flat Rock, the Bethel Church was able to outfit these sheds with sleeping bags and heaters and anything
a
they
coffee
needed.
maker, that
Coffee
was
maker.
on the register,
Yeah.
something, coffee, y'all.
Yeah, so they were, so the Amish were building the sheds, and you folks donations and supplies, and the Bethel Church was able to outfit those sheds with what they needed to go in them for these people to stay warm and fed and whatever they needed.
I'm seeing somebody on the comment talk about Stephanie and how her, they could use furniture.
Probably could, but the thing.
Stephanie, make an Amazon registry.
Yeah, yeah, they probably
It
could.
works. I'm
Um,
telling you,
You know,
people are chomping at the bit to help.
yeah, and they've
And
just gotta be
we're so
kinda
grateful.
have an opportunity to give. And our main thing to begin with was to rescue them, to keep them from dying from starvation and dehydration. And then the second drive, the recovery, part was to keep them from dying from being, exposed to the weather,
Yeah,
keep them warm and dry and fed and so forth.
right.
The third phase is reconstruction and moving them back into their homes. And the biggest problem right now is, Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha is wanting to kick 5,000 of them out of the hotels. And
Oh,
thankfully, we've got two senators in North Carolina that are fighting that tooth and nail. And Ted Budd was just on, Fox News. Bud.senate.gov, I believe is his email. He's looking for people that may be in the situation of being forced out of their hotel. And what gets me is he's having to reach out and have people contact him that knows of these people and where they're at and what hotel. Why can Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha not provide him with this information? They know these people are in these hotels, and what is the problem here? It's bad leadership, and it's gonna be gone in 2 days.
So I'm gonna bite my tongue on that one and bridle it since we're live.
Yeah, but anyway, that's
Probably
what,
should be quiet on that one.
that's what we're dealing with.
Well, I'm gonna say this on that note. There's another YouTube channel out there. There's a gentleman named Jason Ward.
Oh, yeah.
His YouTube channel, Psych Ward.
Mm-hmm,
And Valley Strong, I believe, is his group.
yep,
And they just dropped in a recent video. He called up a hotel. I want to say there was 11 families, and donations to his organization pay for them to stay an extra week.
mm-hmm,
About $9,600 just to let people know for 6 nights and 7 days for 11 families is almost $10,000. So
yep,
that's what you did. Y'all did that.
yep,
Thank you.
yep. And without these,
And that's just one hotel.
yeah. Have we got any more questions or anything? I know there's a lot of comments coming in, and
I don't know. I'm not at the bottom. I'll go back down to the bottom and see.
there's a lot of them.
Here's someone, S. Elliott, ordered some tanks, but they won't be delivered until January 22nd. Thank you.
Yep, there's some more coming in.
Tony Love, $10,000. Wow. Yeah, for 11 families. That's it. Appalachian Navy, Brother Bud up there, he's
Brother
working
Bud.
it too. You want
Yep.
to talk about someone that he could just tell he's tired.
Yeah, he's another YouTube channel that's been promoting us. We've been promoting him. He's on the ground twice a week at least up in western North Carolina. He attends the Bethel Wesleyan Church there in Flat Rock. We go way back, not as far as knowing each other real well, but his dad and my dad went on a mission work team trip to Barbados in 1990, and they roomed together.
Oh my goodness.
So-
Your dad's so sweet.
So, the fact that we knew these folks well before this hurricane ever happened, because my uncle was the pastor at that church. He also pastored the Canton church. And Tim and myself, I'm getting ready to tell a big one on Tim. Tim and myself went to youth camp together
Oh,
at Shady Grove in Colfax when the West District had the church camp there. Tim and myself went as teenagers. So I've known Tim a long time.
yeah.
And the district superintendent for the West District of North Carolina, Jerry Lumsden, he was also another one that we all went to youth camp together. So I know all these people.
God put his aces in his places, didn't he?
Yep, he did it. The Lord planted all these folks. I told Tim, I said, the Lord planted you at Bethel for a reason.
Yeah, he sure did.
Here it is. And
I mean, the proof is in that pudding for sure.
and he is the man for the job and has done an extraordinary job, him and his wife, and Brother Bud and his wife, and all those folks at the Bethel Church have been placed in that church for this.
Yeah. Well, it's like Chrissy at B-Log, her experience was the general store, and now she's able to turn B-Log Elementary School into basically a general store kind of setup.
Relief Center, yeah, it's
Relief
huge.
Center. I mean, I don't know why I studied bushcraft and stuff like that, but that certainly helped the registry when you're sitting there looking at off-grid living. You know, what would I want if I was in that situation? What would I need? I mean, we camp, but we're glampers. I mean, you know, we take our RV out there and we have a good time, but it's important to have skill sets, and it's important to know these things, and it's important to have those layers of backup if the electricity goes out. So that's looking back on my life. It's like, okay, what was God planning there? Oh, now I see now.
Hindsight's 20/20, and you never know what's laying in front of you.
Truth. That is the truth.
So as we get ready to close out here,
Someone has a question real quick. Kathleen has a question that says, has CBN's Operation Blessing helped any? Have you heard of Operation Blessing?
that must be the Christian Broadcasting Network.
sounds like it.
I'm not aware of that up in the area. They may be there, I'm not sure. As far as my personal experience, the only group that I have run across was Samaritan's Purse, and that was in Crusoe. And they were in there mucking a church out and tearing out the bottom 2 foot of the sheetrock and everything in there when that church flooded. And we've run across them a few times up in the mountains, and nobody else.
So let me ask you this question. You're a bridge man. You're up there doing bridge. Your work has to do with bridges. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, are they up there rebuilding?
I'm not saying.
Okay. We're going to debunk that myth then. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is rebuilding roads, bridges, dams, etc. in North Carolina.
The road construction, from my view of it, from what I've seen, is individuals bringing their own equipment and building the roads. Now the DOT, since everything's calmed down, are trying to re-engineer and rebuild the roads correctly. But in the beginning, it was 2 guys in a truck and
West Virginia miners.
and yeah, those guys, there was some people brought equipment from a rock quarry in and built a road in 2 days to get up through the back cave. Connect back cave into, I believe it was Chimney Rock. I can't remember exactly, but all of the work are being done by people bringing their own stuff in, and you know.
Someone's asking how to get to the gift registry. You go to Amazon and you go to, if you're on the web, you scroll across to where it says registry, and you click on that, and then you'll have a search bar at the top, and you can type in whatever group you're looking for. For instance, B-Log says B-Log CO, care of Chrissy Adkins. If you're looking for Central Global, you look up the Central Global. I'm going to add Bethel back on there. Bethel's going to have their own, so that'll be a third one. So when you go to these registries, to look up these registries, you need to search by the name. I share a link with Wayne that he puts in the description box that you can click on. It should take you straight there. Now that you have access, you didn't have access to that option at first until you had a certain number of subscribers.
Correct.
So now the link should work, and like I said, if you want to buy Lowe's gift cards to provide for the adopted families, go to Central Global Bank, Central Global
Methodist Church.
Church. And at the bottom, it'll show the link, and then you click on it, and it just takes you on further to the prompts. Bethel was Bethel Westland, care of Pastor Tim.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm about to add that back on because it sounds like he needs propane tanks. Prepare your fields, Pastor Tim.
I remember that
Love
one day.
you, I mean it.
That one day he called me. He said, 17 Amazon trucks have been in here today.
That's not my fault. God did. And like I said, B-Log, care of Chrissy Atkins. And so when the new Canton group, whoever the group is, they'll have their name. You search them specifically. So
Yeah, right now Pastor Tim's church, the Bethel Church, is supplying everything for the Canton Church. But as winter rolls in, there could be a possibility that they can't get up the mountain to get to Canton, because it's about a 50-minute drive from Bethel to Canton. And if something happens, they can't get the supplies from Hendersonville, Flat Rock area up to Canton. But this way, if Canton can support a registry, then the delivery time, because they would only go about once a week up to Canton. This way they would get stuff continually on a basis, and that way.
Yeah, you need to bypass Bethel. They've been flooded enough as it is.
Yeah,
sorry the pun, but it needs to go as these roads start
Opening
repairs and things. It really needs to go directly to them. And I encourage the Canton Church to reach out to me and do it exactly like Chrissy did. If you have a limited amount of space, tell me what you want, tell me what you need. I'll monitor it while you're working with the community. Just tell me what you need. If you got too many cans of Spam, we'll put something else on the list. You know, it's just a matter of a second once we shop it. And a lot of the things that were originally on the Bethel or even on Chrissy's list, the B-Log list now, I save in my save later, so I can go back and add it quickly.
Right.
So it's getting easier and easier and more efficient. But that first one, it took a couple weeks to get all that information on there. There's a comment here that says 34,000 utility line workers were brought into North Carolina to reestablish power to North Carolinians. The attitude of gratitude should be the way of Christians, no false stories. So what are you seeing up there as far as utility lines? Since we're talking about false stories and debunking rumors.
There was a lot of utility workers up there, and then there was a issue with them getting paid and threatening to leave, and I think that finally got resolved. But they came from everywhere. They even came from Canada. We had power line workers from Canada. They were from all over North Carolina. We had our local Duke Power, our local Randolph Electric membership. We had they were from everywhere. All the co-ops from South Carolina, North Carolina, sent folks all over from the southeast, Texas. They were from everywhere.
Yeah. My neighbor's son,
was a lineman. Without all of those folks in there, the power wouldn't have been restored as fast as it was. Now currently, due to insufficient supplies and materials, there's some of these areas like in Bat Cave and things that were so devastated, there's just not going to be any power in these locations until late spring. And so
I was gonna say the majority of what's up there right now is just temporary.
Yeah, there's a lot of
they're having to work from the outside in.
Yeah, there's a lot of temporary power, and people have power. And if you've seen any of the Appalachian Navy videos, some of those folks talk about the power going on and off, being sporadic. And that's due to, there's still continuing trees to fall that was weakened from the storm, the ice, the snow breaking limbs, a lot of temporized power. I personally think they may have pretty much pushed the limit on how many people they can get on some of the service. And then when those folks try to turn on their heat all at one time, it goes down.
Yeah, Chrissy
So-
was telling me if these Starlinks, they're great, but if too many people are on the service at
Oh,
one
yeah.
time, she gets dropped calls constantly.
Yeah, and that's what was happening. I was trying to talk to her on the phone, yesterday, and she'd get 2 words out and the call would drop just like that. And, so we never have had to be able to have a conversation because, she can't keep a cell signal long enough to work. So, that was why it was very important for you to build a registry for her, because the lack of internet and
Yeah.
the ability to be able to handle anything. She couldn't stay online long enough to build the registry if she wanted to. So,
There's a question here about paying, I heard that the F word stopped paying the contractors that were picking up debris. I wonder if that's true and why. If anybody knows.
I've heard that same thing. As far as some of these contractors that are up there working, most of the people that are removing debris are the local folks and people that are coming in to help. And all they can do is pile it up by the road. I mean, the landfills and things are overrun with this, and
An
most
attempt to burn it,
yeah,
and I say attempt because it's wet.
yeah, they are burning what they can, when they can, and, that type of thing, but it's very difficult to just go in and just bulldoze this stuff, because there still could be possibly some bodies in that, and they try not to do any of that removal of the debris until the cadaver dogs have been through to verify that there's nobody buried in this stuff.
Yeah,
So,
and they're still finding that.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
There's still SAR teams all over everywhere. John Ward, Appalachian Channel, actually has a video about that where there was a father and son in an area that they were not residents. They were
Yes.
found, and the mother's still missing. And some of the markings on the trees, the little tags that they put on the trees when the dogs hit the scent.
Yep. Yeah, and sometimes the
And then
dogs will-
honestly, you think about it, some of these people wash down river with all of that building materials and things. We're not finding whole people.
No, that is correct. There is a lot of body parts and things that have been found, and, you know, these dogs will hit something, and all it'll be an arm or maybe a hand.
Yeah.
And, then they've got to send that back. And a lot of people was talking about the low number of people.
Oh, the low
Well,
number? What are
well,
we up to now? We still at
I-
250?
Well, just in North Carolina, I think they're still showing 103. But, what happens with that number is,
But that's just confirmed.
that's correct. Those are identified people. So we don't know how many is in these, I think they call them demorts. Is that the right
I
term?
don't know.
Uh,
New to me.
Anyway, they do have locations where they do have a morgue with bodies in it that they don't know who they are.
Well, in Avery County,
So
wasn't
they're not
Avery
in the
County
to-
the
they're
one
not
that's
in the
the
total.
corner up there? The Avery County, is that the one where the Western North Carolina sends
I don't know about that.
to figure out who's?
Who's who?
Well, and the thing is, it's sad because all these people need closure so they can get their insurance and things like that and get the death certificate. So how long is that gonna last if it ever is resolved?
And you gotta think, if nobody reports people missing, even though they have their DNA, they don't know who to relate this DNA to.
Yeah, if you're not in the system.
Right.
Which
and
brings
this
me
is-
to my next point, and something that has been really wearing on me is that some people say that North Carolina mountains were out of season, and that's a bunch of hokum. I'm not 100% sure our mountains really ever go out of season between the skiing and things like that. So when this hit September 27th, it was right before the leaves were starting to change. My family was actually planning on making a trip up the Parkway and have a picnic. And then Helene hit and ruined those plans. The weekend before, the lady that owns the Destination Arts Center, she was up there with her family visiting. Roy Cooper said he was up there, whatever. So,
Photo op.
well, he was up there supposedly on vacation the weekend prior. 3 years prior to Helene, my family and I went up to Chimney Rock for a homeschool event at the park. We stayed at Carter Lodge and just hung out there for a few days. You got a low battery on his phone? Okay. So when we were there, we were walking up and down. I made a comment to my husband. I was like, this reminds me of the Outer Banks. You go to the Outer Banks, you see Massachusetts and Ohio and all these tags. There was tags all up and down that road that were out of state. The majority of the tags that were there were out of state. Where are the tourists? And why are we not hearing more about them? And I love my native Tar Heel people, but that is an area, all those hollers, the vacation rentals are next to creeks. There is campgrounds where people come in and haul their RVs in. And not everybody's up on the ridge.
No,
most of them are in the hollers. So where are our tourists that were there?
Correct.
That weekend?
Correct.
Are there people missing that are looking for relatives or should be looking for relatives in Western North Carolina because they don't know that their family went on a trip?
Yeah.
So how many of the people that are in those morgues are never to be found again from another state?
Yeah, and I know when Bud and myself was along the Tow River, I think one of the news companies, maybe 60 Minutes or somebody was there talking about, but we actually was able to see the structure by the river there where those people got washed, and they found the husband 55 miles away in Tennessee, and the wife has never been found.
55 miles in another state.
Yeah, just got washed down the river when their house collapsed in the river.
Yeah.
But sounds like our battery's running low, folks. I've seen the comments come in from Unicorn Purple and Gary Strider there, and
Oh, my thumb's working too fast. Sorry, y'all.
we're seeing the stuff come in, and but our phone battery is about to die here, and we appreciate you joining us. I hope this has answered a lot of questions and highlighted how this registry stuff works, and emphasized time and time again how much we appreciate the donations that have come through the Operation Mountain Relief that have gone to Western North Carolina and have saved thousands of lives. You have no idea.
Thank you very much.
And we sure do appreciate it. And we've got another load ready to go up as soon as the weather breaks and long enough that we can get this load up. It's going, and we just want everybody to keep this front and center for our folks in Western North Carolina that are fighting these elements. They've got a battle ahead of them. We just now entered winter, and the temperatures this week are going into the single digits there. Pastor Tim said they've already got wind warnings out and expecting 25 below zero wind chill, and continue to pray for these folks. And we're doing all we can here on our end to, I won't say keep them as comfortable as possible, but we're just trying to keep these folks alive and provide heat.
We're trying to preserve life.
Yes.
And I want to thank Benghazi Rabbit, Grindstone Ministries.
Yes, Grindstone. Yeah, they've been up there too.
They're independent.
Yep.
Perma Farm. Billy, where are you? I got my notes over here. Stephanie, Tara, John Ward,
Yep.
Chronicles of Olivia.
Yep.
These are who I've gone to for information. Deep River Farm, Appalachian Homestead.
Yep.
Where's my list? I got a list. I put a note down. Thank you, Jan, Purple Unicorn from Massachusetts. Thank you, CC Ryder. Thank you for everybody. Pimpall Preparedness. Jeremiah Babe, Texas Silver. Yanasa TV. I'm saying these wrong. I'm
Poplar
sorry.
Report.
Poplar Report, Bible and Barbells. Riverside Homestead, Permapastures Farm, sorry I said that wrong, Billy. Psych Ward. All of these people, what was that podcaster's name?
Mark Z.
Mark Z.
Yep.
And I know I'm forgetting a ton. Thank you. Thank you for calling, being a
Appalachian
call.
Navy, yep.
Yep.
Melanchthon Creek Farm. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, and we're grateful that y'all stepped up and are a megaphone for
Western North Carolina.
Western North Carolina. And we couldn't do it without y'all. There's my husband, he's on there.
Is he?
Thank y'all, awesome job. Proof God does work through people.
Yep.
He absolutely does. If you're a willing vessel and say, send me, he will work for you. He will show up every time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
Just gotta be willing to submit yourself and go with it.
Oh, and the ham radio operators, thank you.
Yeah.
All the donations, all the volunteers, the helicopter pilots, we could not have done it without you.
Yeah, we
The
have
mule teams, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we have some people just north of my house, between where we live in Archdale. They was part of the mule team.
Yeah, you told me.
And yeah, that was a lifesaver. And then we've got all these other folks that's taking their ATVs and side by sides in, and all these contractors that's took in their minis and their skid steers and tractors, and this would have never gone like it has had it not been for willing people to come in from all over the United States to help, and the churches and those that were way off monetarily donating to all of the organizations to enable to keep these people functioning.
Yeah, the Amish.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just
Who else? The SAR teams.
yeah.
The miners from West Virginia that cut that road. Thank you. And here's another group of people that's interesting. The farmers that use the agricultural drones were some of the videos that I watched. There were some guys that tore apart a shopping cart and attached it to the bottom of their drones and flew supplies over to people that were stranded on the other side of whatever.
Mm-hmm. And
Where there's a will, there's a way, y'all.
Yeah. There's a lot of temporary bridges in place right now that have used flatbeds of tractor trailers.
Oh, I know, that was so cool.
They just backed those things. They took a mini excavator or a skid steer, and they lifted that thing up and shoved it in the river, and then they built dirt up around it, and they're just wide enough to get a side-by-side across. Or a
I know.
I don't think a vehicle could go across it. It might could, but it would be very, very.
Well, the one that I saw was that there was two of them end to end, and they put up a wooden rail so nobody would fall off that thing, and it's for foot traffic and ATVs and side-by-sides. And now we got the Cajun Navy, we got the mule teams, we got the hillbilly helicopter crews, hillbilly Air Force.
Yeah.
And now we got these ATV. Making it happen, y'all.
Yep.
Thank y'all.
Yep. We sure do appreciate you joining us today here at
Cabins
Deep
for
River
Christ.
Farm and Midway Wesleyan Church allowing us to do this live YouTube feed today. And we just want to thank everybody for their support. We want to thank Holly here for coming down 40 minutes away to meet with us today and put this on, and so you could see the lady behind the registry and the effort that she's given. And we couldn't have done this without her and her support and her knowledge of all this stuff. And she spent a lot of time researching and doing all this stuff to help. And I never knew her until that day they made the delivery. And I'm just thankful that Spruce Pine turned you away.
Thank you, Spruce Pine.
All righty. Well, we sure appreciate you folks for joining us. I know there was a lot of questions come in. I see a lot of comments.
I see more comments than questions. I hope we answered your questions.
Yeah, they're coming across so fast we can't really see unless we just catch one. But
We were hoping to have them on the big screen, but you know, technology what it is.
yeah, and we were expecting to do this in the fellowship hall and have the big screen TV behind us so we could see all this come across and be able to read it. However, at the last minute, somebody's plans changed and they was gonna have a birthday party and had to utilize the fellowship hall. I think they might have had more people coming than they had planned and had to move it as of yesterday, so we just accommodate and go with the flow and, don't wanna interrupt somebody else's, plans for their birthday party. So we moved it to the sanctuary of the church, and, that's quite fine, and, we just go with the flow. Joel Osteen at, what's that say?
He's at a cosmetic procedure.
Oh, well, whatever.
Oh, those mega churches, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother day.
Yeah, you know what's funny is, I mean, I know there's a lot of churches and stuff donated and things, but I've not seen any of these great big churches have a presence in anywhere, and if somebody has, I just don't know about it, but,
Well,
you know, most of this whole situation, is done by small churches, the common everyday person,
yeah,
and, people that have a heart and see that these people are needing help, and without that, these people would be dead. There's no question about it.
there is no doubt in my mind that the losses after the fact, we don't know what the losses are.
Or
Before.
during the
During.
hurricane, yeah.
We still don't know that. But I can tell you right now that the people that helped us, help Western North Carolina, have saved thousands of lives.
Yeah, they have no
Because it
idea.
is cold.
Yeah,
It's real cold. And if you've been there, you understand the terrain and the topography. But if you haven't, it's cold.
yeah, they can have,
It's rough.
they can have 4 seasons in one day.
They can.
This morning it was, when I talked to Bud, he said it was sleeting and freezing rain. Then he said it was 47 degrees suddenly and the sun was out, but he was headed to Burnsville and they were expecting snow. So, you know, you had winter, a spring, and back to winter, all in the same
Just wait 5 minutes and the
50
weather's gonna
miles,
change
50
for you.
mile change, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
how it is down here.
All righty, well, we appreciate it. Do you see the button to, end the live feed?
10%.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thanks, y'all.
Have a blessed day.